Hey, everybody. First of all, it is Thursday, April 2nd, which means, guys, friends, family, we made it through March, the longest month of all time, filled with all of the bullshit from all the places. So let's just take a quick moment to celebrate that March is over. Breathe that out. Things are still very crazy and volatile. But we're through that month that did not seem to end ever. So I just wanted to celebrate that for a second. I am Jenny Guy. I am the Director of Marketing for Mediavine, and I'm the host of Teal Talk. And I wanted to just thank you for being here and taking time out of your day to join us and giving me a reason to put on a little makeup and talk to people that are not in my house. So thank you for that, for selfish reasons. However, for today's episode, we are talking about the people that are inside of your house that are not technically supposed to be, the home invaders. They're supposed to be in school or in practice or playing with their friends, but instead you're now being forced to educate them and they won't stop asking for snacks. We are talking about your kids and homeschooling and trying to do your work and balance all the things. And I have brought in two experts to give all the tips and tricks to keep them occupied while keeping you sane and productive. So let's meet them. Sarah Punkoney is the influencer behind the successful site Stay at Home Educator. She's an educator turned stay-at-home mother of 5 running a preschool out of her home. She believes in using educational research to be an intentional parent-teacher by creating purposeful learning opportunities for children. She's taught every age from preschool to college and believes into going into everything with a plan, my kind of girl. Say hello and welcome. Sarah, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad that you're here. We are also joined by Amiyrah Martin, who has been creating content about the frugal life at her site, 4 Hats and Frugal, for over 12 years. That is amazing. OG blogger. She's a wife, mom of 3, homeschooler, Air Force veteran, and true force of nature. She's a 3-time Iris Award winner, 2-time Live Stream of the Year winner, and a frequent conference speaker. She's been previously featured on Dr. Oz, Good Morning America, USA Today, and many other places you'd recognize. If you follow her on social media, you already know that she has had a pretty crappy last couple of weeks and been pretty ill, and we are beyond relieved that she's doing better, and we're thrilled to have her with us today. Welcome, Amiyrah. Could you give us an update on your health? I just want to make sure you're doing okay.
I am excited to be here. I've been waiting like all week for this, so get to talk to adults, and it's great. So we're really going to have a good conversation, but I'm doing well every day. I'm feeling better and better, taking it slow, which is nice because that's all we can do right now anyway. So works out.
I mean, the truth is there really is no place for you to get up and go to. So that's I guess that's the good part about it. So you are feeling better and you've been isolated in your room for quite some time now. How many days has it been?
Today is day 11. I'm still here. This is where you guys are joining me today.
from the room. We are so glad you're feeling well, and I know that you've shared some of it on your social media a little bit and been really frank about you didn't take a test, but you were told, basically diagnosed virtually and told that you had COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It's an interesting journey. So you guys stay home. I know it's tough. We'll talk about how to keep you home and sane today, but stay home. Just stay home.
Please do stay home. We're so glad that you're doing better, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys. I know I've seen all over social that people are struggling right now. It is in more ways than one, but we can specifically right now talk about ways to help people strategize and work with their kids, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you've got questions or concerns, or you have a cry for help for either Sarah or Amiyrah, please put it in the comments. We'll get those addressed for you. But and for everyone at home, tell us in the comments, how has your life changed right now? Who is home full-time that wasn't before the self-isolation? What has been added to your plate? And I'm going to put a question to our ladies. So let's start out with, tell us a little bit more about your experience with teaching and homeschooling. And I'd like to hear a little bit about each of your families. So let's start with Sarah. Sarah, will you tell us a little bit about that for us?
Sure. So I have 5 kiddos. My oldest is 11. My youngest is 3.
And so I had 5 kids in 7 years and no twins. I just have 2 that are really close together, so it kind of throws off the rest of the math. But I actually only homeschool through kindergarten, and then I send my kids off to public school. And we have a really great neighborhood public school in our area, and the teachers have been helping teach remotely and virtually, and they sent home iPads with the kids. Awesome. Yeah, it has been really helpful. But there are definitely days where it's not my best homeschooling mama day, and I'm still trying to work from home like I normally do. And so it's a journey for sure.
Yeah, I don't think anything, we were talking about that today at work, that even though we're a work from home company and that hasn't changed for us, this is still not normal times. Like it's real weird all over. Everybody is experiencing it.
Yes, exactly. Having extra people at home really kind of adds a layer of complexity, I would say.
What a lovely and diplomatic way to put that. I loved that. I loved that. That was great. Okay, Amiyrah, same question to you. Tell us a little bit about your journey here.
Sure. Well, I have 3 kiddos, 14, 9, and 5. We started with the 14-year-old when he was in 3rd grade, I believe. So we took him out of public school and started to homeschool him exclusively. And the other 2 kind of followed suit. And we have decided that the kids are the decision makers when it comes to homeschooling in our home. So at the end of each school year and right before they have to possibly register for public school, we ask them, would you like to continue at home or would you like to go to public school? So this is all up to them, how they would like to learn. And they've chosen homeschooling every year, obviously, except for the 5-year-old. He's kind of forced into it at this point. He gets to decide next year. But that's how we started our homeschool journey. It was more of having a child who was very excited about a subject that wasn't being taught as much in the system. He is a science nerd and he's a Black boy. So when a Black boy wants to really deep dive into science, you have to give him that opportunity. So that's where we started with this. And then it just grew from there. We learned their learning styles, and it's a juggling act in our house because they all learn differently and they all have to have their own different types of spaces to learn. So we have to be really diligent about how we use our time here.
Fantastic and interesting. I love hearing the student-led, your kid-led leading the way. And we're going to talk more about that later. But right now I want to hear more about your individual backgrounds. I know Sarah has some educational training. Amiyrah, did you have to learn, were you a science nerd? Did you have to learn a ton of science to be able to facilitate your son?
No, I was not a teacher. I was in the military for 18 years. I was an event planner for a little while, and then I just became a stay-at-home mom. So I have never taught a child. So this was a journey for me. I really had to lean on websites like Sarah's, you have to lean on those types of people who are brilliant and learn what would work for you. So that's exactly what I did. I had training wheels on for the first couple of years. And then we did our own thing, and we learned how our kids actually like to learn and what their passions are. And we have majors in our house. So awesome. We have a science major, an art major. Yeah. And so we kind of, basically what we're doing in our home is teaching them how to get ready for college. So that's how we run the house too. You are almost fully responsible for your work. And it has helped me as someone who's never taught a child to understand how to be an advocate for their learning, but also move back and let them, take charge when it comes to exploring what they want to explore when it comes to learning.
Sarah, same question to you. I want to circle back to the majors thing because I think that is freaking awesome. Sarah, talk a little bit about your experience too.
I love that idea of having majors in your home. So my background is in education. I have a master's in curriculum and instruction. And so that's what's allowed me to teach such a range of levels. And so I use my degree now to teach preschool. I teach preschool out of my home, but I, also with my blog, a lot of the information I put out on my blog is backed up by my degree.
Awesome. So talk about, Amiyrah, you started to kind of get to that, but what are some of the top resources you found in this process? Where would you direct people to start, people that are starting right now and are trying to jump in, kind of kamikaze? Is there a place on your site that you can recommend to start? And we'll put those links in, or external sites. Sarah, we'll start with you.
Well, I think things are really unique in our country right now, because suddenly we do have basically 100% of our kids being homeschooled, and it's not always everybody's first choice. And from what I've seen on my personal social media, I find that a lot of parents are looking to it as a struggle, but also as an opportunity, and to get to know their kids and to be with their kids. And I love that. I love seeing the positive side of this position that so many parents are in. But in terms of looking for resources, I think the most valuable resource is to reach out to a homeschooling mama. There are lots of homeschooling mamas. I think we all know at least one, maybe 10 or 15, depending on where you live. I live in Idaho. We're very homeschool here. And so there's lots and lots of support groups within your local area, certainly on social media. And homeschooling parents, I feel, are so giving and generous. They welcome questions that you have. They welcome your concerns, excuse me, and they're just so generous in their knowledge. They'll tell you about curriculum. If you have a kiddo who's struggling with reading, they'll tell you what they did as a homeschooling parent to be able to target the struggles that their child was experiencing. And I think that's the most robust resource that a parent can have right now. And then secondly, the internet is full of blogs that have free resources that can tell you a little bit about how to do this whole teaching thing. And in addition to that, there's also blogs that are full of, "You've got this, Mom. You can do it." You showed up for your kids, and that's what counts. And if you can't explain trigonometry to your high schooler, that's okay, because you showed up and you gave it an A+ effort. And I think that that's important to recognize too. Definitely.
Great answer. Same question to you, Amiyrah. Any specific resources? What would you recommend?
Obviously, everything that was just said is the perfect advice for you guys. But I think if you're looking for, if it has to be an online resource, if you would type in maybe homeschool mom and then your city or your state and the blog that comes up, that may be more as helpful to you as possible, because that homeschool mom may have what your state is requiring for homeschooling, how they've used where you are locally to homeschool their child. They may have special activities that are regional. So I think that might be a good starting place for a lot of you who are just I don't even know where to go. I don't know who to ask. And I would totally agree with reaching out to a homeschooling mama. If you don't know one, come right here on Facebook, put up a status and say, "Hey guys, I'm looking for a homeschool mom. Do you know one? Can you connect me?" And I'm 9 times out of 10, that mom or dad will be totally open to helping you, creating lists for you. I did this for a couple of friends, and it was the best time I think I've had in a long time, is just creating this list of things that I think their kid would actually love. So fully take advantage of our community right now. We're out here to help you guys. We want you guys to enjoy this time, not just survive it, but enjoy it.
Right. That's awesome and so helpful. Okay, so Salads for Lunch, which I'm assuming is their site, not their real name. 2 parents working full-time at home, 3 kids trying to do their online lessons the teachers are providing. Jeanette Kaplan said, "So happy to see Amiyrah Martin doing better." Elena Fernandez says, "Amiyrah's #1 fan here, homeschooling mom for 9 years, work at home mom for 15 years." LaShonda Walker said, "Oh my God, that's me, science son. That's why we opted to homeschool." And she also said she had a fine arts child. And how do you incorporate the arts into the lessons? So let's hear about that. Amiyrah, will we start with you?
Sure. Well, that specifically, my art major is my daughter. So anything that can pertain to what she needs or is required to learn that school year, I find an art component to it. So, for example, she's doing a special workbook now for science where she actually has to be very tactile with it. She has to take it apart and put it back together and kind of create her own little art piece with every lesson that she's learning. There are a lot of things out there that you can find to kind of help your child stick to the things that they really, really love, but also learn something else in return. So if they love Minecraft, you're going to find a Minecraft art thing, math thing, you'll find those things on Pinterest and on Amazon, all of that. So that's how we do it in our house. They have their major, but as their mom, I make sure that I'm providing them resources that connect to everything that they need to be learning that year. So math, science, all of the fundamentals, but it still has that aspect of their major wrapped into it.
That's awesome. Sarah, same question to you. How do you incorporate arts?
So I actually have a degree in art, in visual art. And so my preschoolers, I feel like they're the luckiest kiddos on earth, except that I've had to cancel preschool because of the virus. But otherwise, I feel like they're the luckiest kids on earth because we are always doing art. We do lots and lots of process art. And, I just make sure to include something almost every day. But it's important to remember that visual art isn't the only form of art there is. Fine arts includes music and dance and drama. The elementary school that my kids go to, they're actually working to make it like the arts integrated elementary school in our district. And so they've been shadowing a school in California. They send their teachers down there several times a year to shadow these teachers for several days and then come back and implement some of the tools that they've been seeing. And sometimes including arts can be, writing something that's research based while listening to different kinds of music and and then analyzing kind of how that impacts how your research turns out. Because sometimes depending on if they're listening to folk music versus classical music versus Baroque, there's different things that the kids will pick up and kind of incorporate into their research, which is really interesting. The same is true if you were to ask a child to color their story. Sometimes it's just to draw a picture. Other times kids can go through and they'll highlight certain words. And then your job as a parent or a teacher is to say, well, explain to me why you highlighted these 5 words all in red, and it doesn't, red doesn't always mean anger to a kid. It's really interesting. But there's lots of ideas. There's lots of really creative ways to incorporate art. And it, like I said, it doesn't always have to be visual, but that's my favorite.
Well, we all have our favorites for sure. Ashley Evans says, yes, I need all the help I can get. So, and I wanted to kind of pivot a little into scheduling and time and figuring all this out. Salads for Lunch says, how do we balance if both parents are working full time? Amiyrah, let's start with you, please, on that.
Sure. So that's our household. My husband and I actually worked from home together for about 3 years, and he's now back outside of the home working. So our biggest thing in our house is planning and time blocking and day blocking. So we do a lot of that here. My kids love the flexibility of that type of schedule and also that they know what's coming. But our biggest thing when we first started this is deciding when we would not be working. And I tell that to a lot of families because a lot of families get overwhelmed. Like, when am I going to get in my work? What time of day should I do it? And I always tell them, stop for a minute. When don't you want to work? When is it essential for you to be off your phone, off your computer, not checking emails, not talking to clients. And in our house, that's between the hours of 4 and 8 or 4 and 9, depending on the day. Yeah. And that's the time that we make dinner, and we may have movie time, and we get ready for bed, and nighttime chores are done. And so they don't do their schoolwork. We don't do our work. And that's just family time. So once you figure out your family time, it's so much easier to time block everything else from there, because you all know you're going to have that time together to do whatever it is you need to do. And you don't have to stop what you're doing or stop your learning to go take out the garbage or to, have a snack or get dinner started. You already have a time for that. So that's what I'm going to tell you guys to do, is you have to figure out when you're going to rest first and then work from there.
Definitely. Sarah, same question to you.
I love that response, because I'll tell you, being a work from home parent myself, the big struggle is, and being a business owner, the big struggle is you always get caught up in, oh, this is just going to take 10 more minutes. I've got to get this done. It's a priority. It has to happen right now. I just need 15 more minutes, and then pretty soon you're piling on 10 minutes and 15 minutes and 30 minutes. And the next thing you know, you're working way past when you had originally intended to work. And for a while, my kids would come home from school at 3:15. I'd say, okay, I'm going to be done at 3. My kids would come home from school at 3:15, and I'd still be working. And I'd say, go get a snack, go watch a show. And I'm still working. And then my kids are fighting. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with all of you? Stop fighting. And it took me a little while to figure out, well, it's because I'm working during our family time when I shouldn't be working. So Amiyrah, I love that piece of advice. But also, like you, our day is scheduled in chunks of time. Our day doesn't always start at exactly the same time. Because we've kind of scheduled things to have, I'm calling it a late start because it starts at 9. But if we're ready to start before 9, then we do.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, come back.
She went away. This is, uh-oh. Okay. She'll be back. She'll come back. Okay. Elena Fernandez said, all my girls are artists and I am not. It happens. It happens. It happens. Okay. Natalie Welsh Diaz says, Amiyrah, for families that are new to this crisis homeschooling or schooling situation, since we didn't create these lesson plans for our kids, how do we get the teachers to understand that we need to know about the whole picture instead of just the daily lessons? I don't want to step on toes, but this is tough. That is a tough situation.
It is. And my heart has been breaking for all of you. Over that, I think I've had a lot of conversations with my friends about this. And I even posted something recently about all of the struggle and the stress that can bring. So I'm just going to say the thing that you don't want me to say. You got to give them time. And unfortunately, at this point, we got a lot of time. We're going to have a lot of time on our hands in our homes. And they're figuring it out too. They're all figuring it out too. So you got to give them some time and maybe send them a message saying, hey, I'm following this. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. Is there anything else I can do to make this transition better for you and the kiddos? Just moments like that will really help them kind of go, okay, let me make sure that the parents are aware of that. I have this end goal for their kid. And this is why I'm having them do these 10 pages per day or whatever it is. So that'll be really helpful. It really will. We come from a family of teachers here. My husband's side of the family, they're all teachers. So I've been like on both sides of this, kind of like Sure. My heart's breaking for everyone. But we just got to give each other time and be patient and gentle. And I guarantee you, it's all going to work out. It really is. Everybody wants the best for the kids. As long as we keep that in mind, it'll all work out.
That is really great feedback. And I know that we, as much as the parents weren't expecting this, the teachers were not expecting this either. Holy cow. And they're now in a place of going, it always makes you nervous when somebody says, I want to see your overall master plan and I need it to be written down and in a communicable way that you can pass out to other people. That's a tough thing. I mean, it's a hard thing to think about, and pressure and ugh. Okay, I'm going to actually put this question to Sarah. We're glad you're back. You were in the, we were talking and then you disappeared. But
I don't know what happened.
Yay.
Can you Can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're kind of echoey. It sounds a little cave-like, but we can roll with it.
Oh, uh-oh. Maybe she's trying to get it to be better.
I think that's probably what's happening. So you said that she was talking about starting late, which is totally good. Wait, she's back again. Let's try again. Let's see.
Please.
Come on, work.
She was saying such good things. Come on, Sarah. There she is.
I don't know what's happening.
Audience, tell us a little bit about what you're struggling the most with right now. While we're waiting on that, we want to hear what specifically is the hardest. And that was excellent feedback and question that we got from Natalie about having how to communicate with the teachers and wanting to have communication lines open and insight into what the whole picture is, as opposed to just the daily parcels of the information. Okay, I recently read a great blog post that spoke to this difference between homeschooling and the crisis schooling that's occurring now, that these are very different topics and they're very different circumstances. Amiyrah, do you have any thoughts on that you can share, the difference between the two and how you see that playing out?
Yeah, this is a hot topic right now. I've seen lively conversations over.
It's another great diplomatic word, lively.
Yeah, if people are allowed to call it homeschool when it's crisis school, or and all of those aspects of it. And the thing that I think most homeschoolers our viewpoint of this is not of a you can't use that word type of stance. It's more of a this is something that we would never wish on anyone. And when it comes to homeschooling, there's so much more to this that is so joyful and fulfilling and peaceful, that we wouldn't want anyone who has never homeschooled or never even researched homeschooling to think that this is how it's usually done. So that's the big difference. That's it right there, is that you all are being handed over these sheets and these assignments and these websites that you have to log into and all of these things within days. And you're being told this has to be done. You have to push everything else to the side because your kid has to check in, your kid has to do this, and you really don't have control over what your kid's going to learn. And that's totally opposite of how homeschooling works. Homeschooling is very fluid. It's a thing that you plan for. It's a thing that your kid can be involved in and say, hey, this is what I would like to learn for the year. And right now that's not really an option for most parents, which is disheartening and heartbreaking. So that's why there's the parallel there. And a lot of people are getting a little bit upset because people are saying homeschooling and they want to use that word, but really it's kind of like a triage schooling at this point. And we wouldn't want you all to think that this is how this usually feels and goes. It's way better than this. It really is. But you all are doing so well, whether you think you aren't, you are. Like, you're tackling this as well as you can at the moment. So crisis school is tough, but it's something that it's our new normal for right now.
That was a great answer and great perspective, way to put that into something that made sense to me, and love that you're telling people you don't want them to have this impression. Sarah, I don't know if you heard the question. What I was saying is that I was talking about the distinction between homeschooling and the crisis schooling and how you see those being different and playing out.
Okay, so I did hear the question. Thank you. I have a little bit of a different opinion in that I agree. Homeschooling is very, very flexible. Like, oftentimes that's why parents opt for homeschooling, is because they want to be able to have the flexibility they need to educate their child in what they feel is the very best way. And what a wonderful thing that we can choose to do that. That being said, there are many different models for homeschooling, and, doing desk work is a model. It might not be a model that everybody chooses to do, but it is a model of homeschooling, or doing homeschooling that's strictly online. And so in that response, I don't see it as, I don't see the need for there being such a distinction, except that I would point out that, if this, if you are schooling your child at home because schools are canceled, and this has piqued your curiosity about what homeschooling might actually be like for your family, use the summer to, and use this time to explore that curiosity a little bit. Like it's it's a really it's a really great thing. So I personally don't like the term crisis schooling. I know that everybody feels like they're in crisis mode, but I also feel like there are a lot of homeschooling parents who are in crisis mode because this may not reflect what they are normally doing either. And like I said before, like I just love that we have communities that are stepping up to help each other out. I love that we have, parents who are stepping up and being more involved in their kids' education. And, it's unfortunate that some parents need a big push to do it, but it's fantastic that it's happening. That being said, I am curious to see what schools do this fall, how it impacts, how we start off the school year, come fall when kids have missed 2 or 3 months of school. So, anyway.
Unprecedented times for sure. Elena Fernandez says, when I first started, I felt so inadequate and unqualified. And even with my oldest graduating last year, it's hard to not question yourself. How do you handle that? And she wanted to say specifically to Amiyrah, I'm so glad you're here and better, boo. Amiyrah, a question to you. How do you avoid that? Because this is true with anything. And I'm sure that when you're responsible for molding and educating solely, that's a lot of pressure. How do you handle that?
Yeah, day by day, day by day. Yeah. I would say that all 3 of my children are way more smarter than I am. So it's kind of like I have to keep up with them and make sure that I am providing them with as much as possible for them to explore and strive and be the best that they can. But I don't think you ever feel like you are completely on it. They will always, they're constant learners, just like we are as adults, we're constant learners, and they'll always be at this point where you'll have to pivot. And so that's what I just tell myself when I feel like I'm frustrated or I haven't figured out what exactly can I provide to you to help you learn better or learn the thing that you want to learn. I just go, it's time. It just means it's time to pivot. They're learning in a new way, a new style, or they want to learn a new thing. And I don't have to be smarter than them. I just have to allow them the space to be as smart as they want to be. So that's another thing that I just tell myself. And it can be tough. I've found myself every once in a while in the bathroom crying because that's just how that goes. More often than not in the beginning of homeschooling, but you just have your moments and you go and continue to do what you do. You're being an advocate for your child. You're providing a space for them. And as long as you keep that reminder in your head, it makes things a little bit easier, even when you feel like, oh my gosh, I am not qualified to do any of these things.
The imposter syndrome always, and that's in every corner of everything that we all do. Gosh, how rough. Same question to you, Sarah. How do you fight that?
As someone who's been a public school teacher, I think we all feel that responsibility, and it weighs heavy. It weighs heavy as a homeschooling parent. It weighs heavy as a teacher. And frankly, I would be really concerned if we weren't second guessing ourselves all the time, because
that's great point.
Because that's like once you think that you have all the answers, that's that's when people stop learning, and that's when you start putting up barriers to possibilities that really should be explored. So it's good. I think it's good when people second guess themselves and question what they're doing, and it requires us to be able to defend what we're doing and to be critical of ourselves, but also it forces us to search answers, and that can be a really great thing in the journey. I'm sure Amiyrah can speak to that. When she talks about pivoting, I think that's what you're saying. Is that I second guessed myself. I I took these actions and this is where it led us, and what a great place we are.
Yeah, I love that. I love pivoting, and that's what it means. You care, and it keeps you on your toes, and means you're not closing yourself off to new learning, new challenges, all of those things. That's super helpful. Okay. D. Dean says, yes, you feel like you have to keep up with the kids, not the other way around. And pivot points are regular events. They are like sponges soaking up everything we give them. Elena said, what great insight from Sarah as a teacher. So good to hear that. All right, this is a question I think that probably is very specific to the situation currently, but how do you get kids to focus on actually doing the work that is required of them when there are 700,000 distinctions at home, their school, their Nintendo, their whatever it is, everything is all around. How do you get them to focus? Sarah, we'll start with you on this one.
Excuse me. My number one tip for that is, so I have a really detailed schedule for my kids now that we're schooling at home. It's down to 10-minute increments, which seems really control freakish, but it works because when you're juggling 5 schedules, there's a lot of delicacy in how you handle those 5 schedules, because of course they're all completely different because my kids are at different levels and different ages. So in terms of keeping my kids from being distracted by other things, one thing when I'm putting together our schooling schedule that I do is I try to stagger things with each of my kids so that if I know that one of my kids needs to be working with me one-on-one, then the other kids are set up to work independently. That's the very best thing that I can do. And then secondly, I like to mix things up a bit so that we're not doing the same kinds of activities all in a row. So my older kids, because a lot of their learning is online, I'll say, okay, go to your class and do morning meeting, do your Zoom meeting with all of your classmates. And then you're going to actually get up off the chair and come check in with me. And we're going to talk about your assignments for the day. And then we'll put in, just kind of the different subjects that allow for different kinds of strategies and learning. And so, we'll do something online, and then we'll do something hands-on, and then we'll do something that's pen and paper, and then we'll throw Taekwondo practice in the middle of it, or dance practice in the middle, or piano lessons, or, those extracurriculars that are now also virtual. We throw those in between. And so our school schedule isn't the traditional 90-minute reading block that we would have at, like in public school. Well, that's very traditional, 90-minute reading block, a 60 or 80-minute math block. I don't do that. It's 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most. Like I said, a lot of things are in 10-minute increments, and we just bounce back and forth. And it takes a lot of juggling. But I feel like I get a lot better work out of my kids because it doesn't feel so draining on them. And it keeps them from asking, can I just play games for a little bit? And it keeps them from, well, I just want to put together this one Lego set. So those are my two big tips. I don't know.
Those are great. That's really, really helpful. And we feel like that as adults. I can't even imagine how the kids feel like. We were like, I need to go look at Instagram for like 5 minutes. Can I just please go watch the Insta stories for 5 minutes? We do it. Okay. Same question to you, Amiyrah.
We do almost the exact same thing. So that's why I was sitting here like, yes. Because I have a high schooler and, a tween and a 5-year-old, we do a lot of the staggering, a lot. Mm-hmm. And I try to have the teen start their work first because he and I can sit and do work together and he doesn't need me as much. And there's a quiet time of the day, so he can at least start off focused and get as much done as possible before the other two get up and get going for the day. Same with me. I can get a lot done in those earlier hours. So that's how we started. We stagger them by age. And then my daughter is a self-starter. So as soon as she's up, she goes straight to get ready for the day. She'll do her chores and she gets right to work. I don't really have to do a lot with her, and she knows to come to the professor. I'm the professor in the house. Come to the professor if you have a question, and we talk it out. And I allow her that time where I will close things down. If I have to close work, I have to close work, and I give her my time. And then the 5-year-old I basically try to get as much done before he's ready for his learning day, because he gets an hour, pretty much an hour at most out of him for learning. And then we have to either play a game or do something different. He is let's do something different kid. And I do need to be there for him to do that. So that's how we stagger. We stagger by age, because once that 5-year-old is done with their schoolwork for the day, basically the whole house has to give him attention and have some fun and do fun things and fun crafts with him. But it all works out. It all works out. You just have to kind of be diligent about it.
And that is incredibly helpful. And I thought a lot about that. 5-year-olds, when they're ready, they're ready. And that's how it is.
Yeah.
They're like So in terms of that, you mentioned this a little bit, but how do you guys do your own work during these times? I think that is a big thing that's happening with a lot of people out there, is that now everybody is going from having their own spaces to do it to trying to do everything together in the same space. And so talk about that. Sarah, you want to go first, and then we'll have Amiyrah go?
Yeah, sure. So I probably work a little differently from Amiyrah in that because my kids are so young, if I work from home at all, when I work from home at all, I have to first be accepting of the fact that they're just going to interrupt my work. And I can't get frustrated about it. I do get frustrated sometimes, but overall, I just have to remember these are little people who need me. And I chose to be a work from home mom so that I could be with my kids. And so I need to allow those interruptions to happen. And I find that they happen less frequently if I say, okay, let me stop what I'm doing. I'm going to be with you for 10 minutes, and then you go, and I go back to work. But now that I have all 5 kids home, and I'm trying to juggle 5 different schedules with homeschooling, I just have to block off my entire morning. And I don't get any personal work done during that entire morning. Sometimes before we start school, I can fit in half an hour to an hour where I respond to emails or blog comments or things like that. But most days, my work day doesn't start until 1. And then I close up at 5 or 5:30 before I start dinner. And so that's just kind of how we do it. I don't know that it's ideal though, or perfect, and I what I don't see is me being able to get any work done during our actual homeschooling hours, because it's like keeping 5 different fires stoked. Like one is about to go out, and so you race over there and you stoke it, and so it's burning all nice and bright, and then just as that happens, like you race over to the next fire and you're stoked that one because it's about to go out. So anyway, that's and I just have to view homeschooling time as a specific chunk of time that takes up my day. Work time takes up a specific chunk of my day, and I personally can't mix the two of them. It's too much for me, but I don't know if I'm sure other parents can make it work, but I can't.
I mean, I don't think that there's any right answer here. I think it's just making your own toolkit out of the best pieces that you can and making it work for you. Okay, same question to you.
So I do. Well, I'm like the total opposite. She said it's like, I'm probably going to be the total opposite.
Great.
We're the total opposite. So I have instilled in my kids the idea of respect for work. So I respect their work time and they respect my work time. Obviously the littler ones, they're working on how that works. So that's why we have to be gentle with one another on that. But my 14-year-old knows, and even my 9-year-old, even though she does need me to teach her certain things or help her understand certain things, we're respectful of one another's time that we have to get our things done for the day. So I do work when they work. That's how that will happen. But also I only do the little chunks of time. Like Sarah said, we do the Pomodoro Method in our house. My kids I don't think they know that that's what I call it or that's what it's called. That's just what we do. So around about 20 to 25 minutes, I will kind of close down a little bit of what I'm doing and glance up to see if anybody needs anything. And they can see, okay, well, mom is giving me attention. If I had a question, let me ask her now. So they do get me periodically through the hour, but it also forces me to like, don't come on Facebook. Don't go to, you got 20 minutes, girl, before someone's going to ask you a question.
Serious prioritizing.
Oh my gosh. And you have to be strict with yourself because you know your kids are going to be lax. Yeah. So you have to be the tree. As long as I'm able to do that and I'm respectful of the time that they, maybe even the extended time of learning, because I have a learner who may need a little bit more time with an assignment. And I allow them to kind of enjoy that and I don't push them to finish at a time. It's very symbiotic in our house for that. And like I said, by 4 p.m., things got to close down. Just like I love that we're probably going to end around 4 today because then I'll be done for the day. But that's how it works for us. So it's more earlier in the day for us. And then later in the day is if they're allowed screen time, they get their screen time later in the day. We do dinner, we do evening chores. All of that stuff happens later in the day. And then if I need to work again, I will open back up the laptop at 9 p.m. That's when I allow myself to come back if I need to.
So you said something in there that sounded pretty interesting, and also delicious, which was the Pomodoro Method. What is that, and what does it mean?
So the Pomodoro Method it's kind of like a timer method. I think Pomodoro. There are smarter people here who are commenting, but was he a professor? I don't remember. But I think it's about 25 to 26. Was he a chef? Okay,
I have no idea.
Well, that would make sense too, because you only have a certain amount of time to cook. But it's about 25 to 26 minutes. We set a timer or I set a timer on my phone. And that's the only amount of time that I am allowed to focus and get my work done. And I have 2 of 3 kids who actually love that. They love the short amount of time and the like little bit of stress, quote unquote, to get their things done. So that's what we do. It's just basically setting a timer for a specific amount of time, 25 minutes, and then you just dig in and you get the stuff done that you need to get done. There's a lot that we do, you guys, that can get done so fast. It's just that we have so much going on as business owners, online business owners, that we can just go everywhere and we really don't have to. We can focus for 20 minutes, get it done, and then later down the line, we can go and talk to our friends and do all that type of stuff. So you will be shocked how much you can get done in about 25 minutes.
So if you're ever curious about how well you use your time while you're at your computer working, install the app Rescue Time on your browser. Do you use Rescue Time?
I installed it once and I was very ashamed of myself. And then
right.
I'm afraid what I don't know that I want to know.
So it will automatically, you can set your categories, but it will categorize how you spend your time on your computer, and it's super insightful. And as a business owner, it also helps you identify where your time sucks are, so like if you, like if you're spending hours a day just checking your email and responding to it, like that's critical, things that you need to do in your business. But, maybe because it takes up such a huge chunk, you need to outsource some of it to a VA who can filter your messages for you. So anyway, I love Rescue Time. And in some weeks, it's also embarrassing.
I'm a little terrified, I won't lie. I mean, it sounds like something that would help me, and I'm not homeschooling anyone, but I'm a little afraid as well. So we'll see. We'll see if I take the challenge. It sounds like a Rescue Time challenge is being dropped, a gauntlet, and we'll see if I pick that up. Dee Dean said, yes, staggering is key. I did the same when I had all three at home. Also, my younger ones had shorter days than the older. Elena said, I love that. Professor Mom. I call myself Maestra, which is teacher in Spanish, and our school has a name, the Positive Mom Academy. Love that.
Oh.
Dee Dean says, thank you, ladies. You are an excellent wellspring of info and experiencing. You are helping many, especially through this time. Kelly Tomlinson said, I need to try this. This will hopefully keep us all more focused. Kelly, yes. Call me. Talk to me. This is not, I'm struggling. Camille Walker, scheduled time helps so much. Flexibility is necessary. All right. Great comments. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about feelings here for a second because this is a really difficult time right now, just to be totally real. Everybody is struggling. Everybody is grieving what we've lost. Face-to-face interactions, activities, routines, and a lot of people thrive on routines. A lot of kids are used to routines, and now that's all just kind of been gone. So how I've seen from my nieces and all from my friends with kids and all that this is hitting kids hard, and it's very difficult for them. And also they don't always have the resources to express their emotions verbally or tell you what's going on when there's so much happening. So how are you handling little people's big emotions? Amiyrah, we'll start with you.
Well, we are a homeschool family, but my kids are super social and super active. I know there's a couple of ladies here in the comments that have met my children in person, so they can attest to this. So this has been difficult for my kids. I'm not even going to lie. It has been difficult. I've seen their behavior change quite a bit just because they can't be with their friends. Even their friends that live 2 doors down, they can't see them. So we have been very gentle with them. And I try my hardest not to listen to a lot of news while they're around and things like that. But we do have conversations about what's going on. And obviously in our home, we have experienced this firsthand now. Yeah. And they know what this looks like and why it's important that we're doing what we're doing. And I have seen that the more that we talk to them about it in a very black and white, matter of fact way, the ease in their chest goes down. So you can see them literally respond to you being upfront with them and telling them, hey, this is why we're doing this. Hey, this is what's happening. This is why we can't go to the grocery store and why the groceries are being delivered at our door now. And I think we don't give kids enough credit as we should. They know what's happening. They can feel what's going on. They feel our stress. So it's way more helpful if we can just say to them, hey, this is what's happening. And in the tone that will help them understand and that works for their age range, of course. But we don't have to sugarcoat anything. But we also don't have to not allow them to feel what they're feeling, because this is something that they'll never forget. This is something that their generation will talk about forever. So we have to allow them to feel the feelings, but we also have to be there for them to kind of tell them the facts and say, this is what's happening, because we have to do that now. There's no one else to do it in your home. You got to be that person for your kiddo.
Same question to you, Sarah. How are your 5 handling it?
So, okay. So the biggest struggle for us has been 2 things. One is that our city is like our state is basically completely shut down, including like playgrounds. And so being home all the time, we get a little stir crazy because there's 7 of us in 1,900 square feet, and nobody has and actually
blessings.
Is it less?
The other difficulty is related because before all of this happened, we were working to sell our house, and we actually have another house under contract. But now it's like, I don't know if we're going to move. I don't know if we're going to be able to give you, the 5-bedroom house that we've been looking at, because like we might not be able to sell our house for a little while. Like we don't know what is going to happen. And in fact, just this morning, my oldest asked me, well, when are we going to move? And I don't know if we are anymore. And, and so that's been hard on my kids because they've already started, kind of visualizing what life was going to be like you know, in just a couple of months, like come summer, we were going to be in a new house and it was going to be twice the size of our house. And it was going to have this giant backyard with a fire pit. They're so excited for roasting marshmallows.
Yeah.
And so now I'm kind of like, I'll heat up a marshmallow in the microwave for you and stick it on a graham cracker. You know? And so that's, and my kids most of my kids are a lot younger. You know, I have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And so their understanding is is more limited than my older kids. And so for them, I think for the most part, they feel like it's business as usual, but it's like, why can't I go with you to the grocery store? Or, you know, well, my daughter, I just need these beads for this kaleidoscope I want to make. Why can't you just go and get them? Oh, because it's not essential. And so I think things like that have been a little more difficult for our family and being packed into a tight space. But luckily, the weather has been cooperating and we still have bikes and scooters.
Yeah.
So the fighting starts and it's like, everyone outside, let's go for a bike ride.
That's great. I mean, I think that everybody, we've got to get outside because it's all we have. Walking around the neighborhood is all we have. Right. And Amiyrah, I feel so terrible that you've been trapped inside that room for so long.
It's totally fine. I kick them out. They go in the backyard. I say, get out of my house. They go.
School is closed.
School is closed. Get out and go. Yes. Yeah. So I will be out soon. I'll be able to venture a couple more days.
Well, and we know it's so important that you do stay isolated, but that's got to be hard. It's got to be hard. Mm-hmm. I can't lie. I'm sure you're so over Netflix at this point. Like you're just done.
No, I'm not.
No, good. I'm glad. Whew, because that would be a tough thing to lose. Amber Bracegirdle, who is a Mediavine co-founder, actually said Amiyrah's daughter actually gave me life at a travel blogger mastermind. She manages her brothers like an absolute boss lady. Love to hear that. Love that. Yes.
She's the ringleader.
I mean, obviously, the future is female. So we're running a little bit low on time, and I hate that because I feel like we could talk for the rest of the afternoon. But the question I think that one, I'm going to ask a 2-part final question. One part is, how do you recommend parents? You were saying the trigonometry earlier. I've seen a whole lot of people being like, I have no idea how to help. Mm-hmm. I don't know what this is. And I don't know what they're talking about. Math is different, apparently, which I don't know anything about. But my friends have been trying to explain it to me. I'm like, I couldn't do that. I don't do that. So how do you recommend parents trying to help kids with things that they don't know themselves or maybe knew a long time ago and no longer know? 1. And 2, are there any apps or programs or anything to help with streamlining or scheduling? Those would be the 2 questions. So think about those. Everyone out there, I'm going to make a couple of announcements real quick. Guys, we have been doing a lot of lives lately. And again, it's a reason for me to put clothes on that are not pajamas, and also to put like makeup on. We love talking to you, and we want to be here with what you need. So talk to us about what it is that you want to see from us coming up in the next few weeks. What kind of lives? We're going to have Eric coming back some to talk about kind of the state of the programmatic advertising industry as a whole, just to give some tips on what you can do if you're able. But we want to be led by you as much as we can, led by our audience into what you guys need from us. So please tell us. You can put it in the comments, or you can absolutely email us, sponsored@mediavine.com. Just tell us what kind of guests you want to see, because we are here for you. If you happen to miss an episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. They're all there once they're edited. An awesome team that does that. And our Facebook, so you don't miss any. And then in addition, we're going to probably have another work from home episode, because we are all work from home, and I work with about 75 people who are work from home pretty good at it, because we've done it for quite a while now. So we'll be having that upcoming. Let's get our final answers from our guest. Sarah, for you, any apps or scheduling tools that might be helpful? And then how the heck do you help someone when you don't know what it is yourself?
Right. Okay. So I am of no help at all when it comes to apps, because I still like paper. I have a paper planner.
I love that.
So I am, in fact, I have been trying for like the last month to find a chore app that I like. And I have just decided that I need to like write my own chore app, because the one that I like, there it just isn't one. And so I'm super picky. I like, my charts and my checklists and all of that kind of stuff. I like colored pens and fancy highlighters.
Yes.
And so I'm totally old school in that respect. And then in terms of helping your kids with content that you no longer remember or that's hard, like maybe a little above your skill level because you're not in trigonometry. I never took trigonometry. That's a terrible example for me. But I'll be totally transparent here. I go to Google and I go to YouTube. And in fact, just this morning, my son was working on the difference between parallelograms and rhombuses. And I was like, Google, let's double check his work here before we submit that answer. And so that's what I do. Hopefully there's more options, if not better. But yeah, that's what I do. There's some really great teaching channels on YouTube and, excellent blogs that you can go to. I'm not familiar with all of them, but I absolutely go to the internet. And then because my older kids are learning virtually, I, of course, can always message their teachers and say, this isn't making sense to us. Explain it to me like I'm 5.
I preface almost everything I say, like, explain it to me like I'm 5. It's just a safer way to do it. Just to be like, explain like I don't know anything. Let's just pretend.
Yeah, exactly.
Same question to you, Amiyrah.
Well, we love paper here as well. So that's why Sarah said that. I was like, oh, she's my soul sister. Each child actually has a planner, even the 5-year-olds.
Yes.
That's how I keep track of what they're learning. And just in case the Board of Ed wants to see something, that's how we stay organized in our house. So on Sunday nights, I will write out what they're going to do for the week each day. And then that's another thing that they have, a resource where they don't have to ask mom every day. They have it right there. So I have 3 different planners. I'm a planner addict. They each have a planner. So we are paper people here as well. If it's something that I literally don't know, my husband is very smart, so he may have to do something. Like I said earlier, we come from a family of teachers, so we may just call up one of the aunts or uncles. Yeah. Please don't forget your family members. If you have a family member that's a scientist, you should probably ask them if they can maybe help with some assignments. This is a good time to do that. So use family members, use friends, really smart friends that know things that you don't know. We use Khan Academy a lot because it's free. So Khan Academy is used in our house. Again, we're YouTube, Google people. The kids actually ask Google Home a lot of things. If I don't know, I say, go ask Google Home. Not ashamed to say that out loud. But we do use a lot of the free resources out there. And you guys, you do have a ton. You have so many out there that are just set up to help you for free. So you don't have to fret about not knowing new math. And actually in our house, that's the one thing we pay for is my daughter is advanced in math. So we pay for a tutor. She has a tutor every Wednesday. It's virtual. So she's still been doing that, even though we're all, things are kind of stuck at home situation. But I do pay for that because she is so advanced. So that's the one thing in our homeschooling routine that I put money out for. And they do a wonderful job of teaching the new math. And so she knows the old math and the new math, which is, I think, is advantageous. So then you may come into that situation as well. If it's a situation where you feel like maybe you can put a couple of dollars towards someone actually deep diving with your child one-on-one, don't be ashamed to do that. Because you all may be coming out of this seeing that your kid is super advanced in something you would have never thought. And this is like the perfect time for you to be like the catalyst for things like that. So
The catalyst for the
but yeah.
next Mary Curie, or
oh my gosh, wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be amazing. And you guys have been so inspirational and helpful. Sarah Punkoney, the stay-at-home educator, Amiyrah Martin, for Hats and Frugal. You guys have been so awesome. Amiyrah, please continue to heal and get better. Yes. And Sarah, good luck with your home.
Thank you.
And hang in there, you guys. Thank you. You're doing a great job, everybody. We will talk to you soon. Bye now.
Thanks.